Hi, I'm Scott Mansell and welcome to Driver 61's University Series. In today's tutorial we're looking at how to maximise the exit phase of a corner. Now in previous tutorials we've already taken a look at how to maximise the braking, turning and mid-corner phases of a corner, and today we're taking a look at the exit phase. The exit phase is the area where you're beginning to open up the steering angle and getting back on the accelerator all the way up to 100% throttle as you're coming out of the corner. So as I mentioned, in the mid-corner phase where the car is turning at its maximum force, where the entire tyre's grip is being used up for cornering, you have to be silky smooth on the accelerator. Now in the exit phase, we're going to have to reduce some of the grip available for turning and put that into accelerating the car out of the corner. Now we've been over this in the grip tutorial earlier in the series, so take a look at that if you need to refresh the theory about the grip circle, but we're just going to go over it quickly here today. Now this is the grip circle that we saw in the previous tutorial. It shows the maximum force that a car can have in braking, turning and acceleration. So as you can see here, we have braking on the bottom axis here, turning left and right across the horizontal axis, and acceleration up here. So as you approach the corner, the driver will brake and we pull the maximum force that we possibly can, if we're driving correctly, on the brakes. Then as we trail brake the car into the corner, we're releasing the brakes and loading the steering up so we come all the way around from maximum braking force to maximum turning force with a lateral G-force there. Then this is where the exit phase begins. It's the point where we're actually reducing the steering angle, so we're enabling some of that tyre's grip to be used up for acceleration, as you can see here. And as we open up that steering angle, then we can get more and more on the accelerator pedal. So as we mentioned in the grip tutorial, it's about using all of the tyre's grip and blending that grip from braking to turning and then into acceleration to propel ourselves along the next straight. So let's take a look at the order of inputs that we have to put into the car to try and maximize the exit phase. Well, the first thing to do is to make sure that your vision is a long way ahead of yourself. If you don't know where the car wants to end up, how do you know where to steer and when to get back on the accelerator? So when we're at the apex or even just before, make sure we're looking towards the outside of the circuit, so then it becomes much easier to understand how much we can open up the steering angle and how much we can get back on the throttle. So once we can see where we're heading to, then we begin to open up the steering angle, and this is transferring some of the tyre's grip away from turning and enabling us to then get back on the accelerator. So as you're opening up the steering angle, we can get on the gas more and more and more. Now when you're coming out of the corner, and we're going to go into it in more detail a little bit later, but it's really important that we use 100% of the tyre's grip, so the car is just beginning to move around, and we use 100% of the available track on the outside of the corner. Now it's all well and good saying let's just use 100% of the car's grip available, but it's actually more difficult in practice bringing yourself and the car up to that threshold of grip, so we're actually beginning to get the car moving around when you're on the accelerator pedal. And it's a common mistake, well not really mistake, but it's a common room for growth for many track drivers where they're not actually using all of the car's grip available on the exit. So we spoke about this previously in the grip tutorial already in more detail, so please see that if you want a more detailed analysis of how we build up. But the whole idea to building up is to do that. Gradually increase your pace lap by lap by lap until the car begins to slide. If you take small chunks out of the exit phase of the corner and gradually get quicker and quicker and more assertive on the accelerator pedal, then you won't overstep the mark by too much. And that means that when the car does slide, it should be nice and progressive and nice and smooth. Obviously, as always, we should make sure that our inputs are all very smooth. If you turn the car very hard or accelerate very sharply, then the slide will replicate this, and it will be a less progressive slide. So make sure all your inputs are silky smooth, and that way when the car does slide in the exit phase, it will be nice and smooth, progressive, and you'll be able to catch it quite easily. So one of the most common and simple areas for improvement for many track drivers is that they generally don't use enough of the circuit on the exit of the corner. They restrict the exit phase of the corner, making it tighter, and it means that they just can't carry as much speed through the corner. Now, the best way to do this is to make sure that your vision is a long way ahead of yourself, as I just spoke about. When you're at the apex or just before, make sure you're looking towards that exit curb on the outside of the corner with a broad vision. Now, always remember, as we're going to go into in the next section of this tutorial, how much of the track you can actually use, as it varies between the UK, Europe, and the US. But make sure that your vision's broad, and make sure that you understand that you can use all the road on the outside, and maybe even a little bit of the grass. We need to make sure that you use every inch of the track on the way out of the corner to ensure that we maximize carrying as much speed through the exit phase as we possibly can. So when we're talking about using every inch of track on the exit phase of a corner, it's important to understand how much road we can legally use. Now, in the UK, the rules changed a few years ago, and the rules are now that we have to keep all 4 tyres within the race circuit at all times. So the race circuit is defined by keeping all 4 tyres within the curb and not running onto the grass. Where there's no curb, you have to keep all 4 tyres within the white lines of the circuit. Within Europe, it's a little bit different. We have to keep at least 2 tyres within the white lines at any time on the circuit. So this means on the corner exit, you can actually sometimes run 2 wheels onto the grass, as you can see in this diagram here. This is legal because the 2 tyres are still within the white lines on the circuit, even though we have 2 tyres on the grass. Now, in the US, it seems that the rules differ from category to category and championship to championship, so it's best to check with them first. So finally, when you're driving and we're thinking about trying to maximize the exit phase of a corner, a few things that you should focus on. Firstly, as always, vision is the most critical thing to get right. It's the fundamentals of driving quickly on track. Look a long way ahead of yourself, envision your line through the corner, and make sure that you give yourself all the information that you need long before the car actually gets to where you're looking. As always, be silky smooth with your steering and throttle inputs. That way you don't unbalance the car, and when the car does slide, it slides in a nice and progressive manner. Make sure that you're using all of the grip available. If the car doesn't feel like it's just about to slide, then you need to push a little bit more in the exit phase of the corner. And finally, one of the most simple things that we should concentrate on is using all of the road on the exit. As I just mentioned, if you're not using all the road, then you're restricting the corner and you simply can't carry as much speed through the corner as you could if you're using all of the track. So that's all for today's tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please share with your social media, and I'll see you next time.